Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Lions Grid. Tuesday here, so we're kicking off another episode of Kings in the North. Going to be taking a look at the updated NFC North standings, do a little table setting about what it means for the Lions moving forward, and all that good stuff. So, kicking it over here to the current standings. These are the standings after Week 7. You can see the Green Bay Packers there, still in first place, 6-1 overall on the season. On that three-game winning streak, the Vikings there firmly in second place, 5-2 off that victory against the Lions. The Bears in third place, 3-3, two-game losing streak for them, and then of course our Detroit Lions. They're in last place on a three-game losing streak, and kicking it over to the results from last week's games, as mentioned. The Packers getting that win against the Oakland Raiders 42-24 to help them reach that 6-1 mark. The Lions losing at home to Minnesota 42-30, the final score there. The Vikings getting the win. The Bears losing to New Orleans at home 36-25. So yeah, that's where things are currently. If we take a look here at who the teams will be playing this upcoming week, you got the Packers traveling to Kansas City to take on the Patrick Mahomes-less Chiefs. You have the Bears hosting the Chargers. You have the Lions hosting the Giants, and then the Vikings hosting the Washington Redskins. So certainly for most of these, I think all of these teams, without going too much of a spoiler, I think it's not totally out of the question to think that all four of the NFC North teams could get a victory this week, and of course all four of them playing non-NFC North opponents, where they have done very well so far this season. Certainly a chance for them to flex and show that the NFC North is still is still the top division. Of course, what we're going to throw up here now is just a recap of the current division leaders through Week 7. And the reason I'm throwing this up here, you can see all the teams that are currently leading the way. But the division I want you to pay attention to is, me and Joe all season long have been very forward in saying that, we believe the NFC North is the best division in football for the longest of time. They were the only division to have all four teams with a winning record. I think the division you got to keep your eye on now is that NFC West. I think they're challenging the NFC North for supremacy. It's, I think, between those two divisions about who is actually the best division in the NFL currently. I used to think it was pretty firmly the NFC North, but the NFC West challenging there, and you can see overall not really huge surprises with who's the current division leaders here coming through Week 7. I think one of the ones that is kind of surprising, since they did beat Houston last week, is Indianapolis, currently holding that AFC South slot. But otherwise, I think everything is pretty much makes sense. The Ravens have been the best team so far in the AFC North. The Patriots, of course, undefeated on the season. Everyone knows how good Kansas City can be. Cowboys taking care of business against the Eagles, and then the Saints, even without Drew Brees, have been very good down there in the NFC West. So, yeah, like I said, I think previously I would have undisputedly gone with the NFC North being the best division in the NFL. I think right now it is a little bit of a challenge coming in from the NFC West, and it's certainly something to keep an eye on. So, obviously, we're heading into Week 8. There are 17 total weeks. Each team gets a bye week, so each team plays 16 games heading into Week 8 of the season. And I do have a question that I want to put forward to fans of the Lions Grid, and we'll toss it up here. And it is, with 11 games left in the season to be played for the Lions, is there a way for them to make a push for the NFC North? Now, looking at this, I think realistically, to consider yourself a playoff team, and that's a playoff team, not necessarily your division winner, but a playoff team, the magic number to kind of get to is 10 wins. The Lions, of course, currently sitting at 2-3-1 with 11 games left. To hit that 10 mark, that means they have to win at least 8 out of their 11 remaining games. to be a potential playoff team, and that is going to be a challenge. It's still going to be uh, I think, somewhat of a challenge for them to go win 6 games. I originally projected them to go 8-8 on the season. That's going to require them to win 6 out of 11, which is just over half. It could be a challenge because there are still plenty of good teams left on the schedule. Taking a look here at who the Lions have remaining in those 11 games. Obviously, they have 2 games against the Bears, another game against the Packers, and another game against the Vikings. Beyond division opponents, they are taking on the Giants this weekend, which should, in theory, be a win for the Lions. Then they have to go on the road to Oakland to take on the Raiders. Could be challenging. They have to play the Cowboys. They have to play Washington, Tampa Bay, and Denver. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the Vikings, the Bears twice, and then the Packers. So it could be, obviously, I think you can count, they should be favorites against the Giants, the Buccaneers, and the Broncos. You can argue, and the Redskins. So there's 4 wins, conceivably. You can argue that they should be, it's kind of hard to say, right? The Bears' defense is still very good. Their offense, very spotty with Mitchell Trubisky currently. So they could either sweep the Bears, maybe they trade 1-1. If they sweep them, there's 6 wins. There's a path to having those 8 wins on the season. If they split it, that's 7 wins. There's some tough games. Oakland, I think, is a game they can win, but the Raiders kind of are sort of sneaky good at times. Could present a problem. And to Jeff's point there, they'll be doing it without Quandre Diggs and also without Kerryon Johnson. Quandre Diggs traded to Seattle with a 7th-round pick in the 2021 draft for a 5th-round pick in the 2020 draft, kind of giving him away for next to nothing. And then Kerryon Johnson was placed on IR with the injury that he suffered to his knee this Sunday. So the Lions could potentially be looking to make some trades here before the trade deadline, because certainly losing Kerryon Johnson could severely, he hasn't really had a whole lot of success this season. I want to say before the season started, I was throwing him up as a potential top 5 fantasy football running back, and he certainly hasn't lived up to those expectations. However, I think not having him in the offense certainly will hurt them. So the Lions may look to bring in another running back. Potentially names I've heard kicked around: Melvin Gordon, Kenyon Drake, Jordan Howard with the Eagles, Ty Emery. Plenty of names out there being tossed around. Hard to say if anything will come to actually happen there, but certainly having Kerryon on IR could be challenging for the team, to say the least. And then beyond that, it's a tough road. It's not an easy path. Again, even though they've started out 0-2 in the division, which we've been talking about and harping on about being a challenge, and it just seems like my internet is not going to be good today. But we'll try and soldier through this and wrap up the video. But it's been a bit of a challenge, right? That you're starting out 0-2, you're starting in a hole. You got to try and climb your way back, and at this point, it's almost going to take some help from other teams. Like the Packers are going to have to cool off at 6-1 if they, it's kind of a boring take, but if they just keep winning, they're going to secure the division, and there's nothing really the Lions can do in terms of a wild card spot. We just saw the Lions go up against a team that they're certainly going to be competing for a wild card spot if Green Bay wins the NFC North, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Vikings absolutely dumpstered them in that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Still 11 games left in the season, so there's still plenty of stuff left to be decided. But each week there's one fewer week, and certainly, we talked about it yesterday, that yesterday's loss certainly is the first one that really has you feeling down about the Lions. I think losing to the Chiefs and the Packers, while there certainly was a sting there because they were in those games and had an opportunity to win them, you didn't leave feeling too down on the team, whereas against that loss against Minnesota, they they stuck it to the Lions pretty good. So, certainly that fresh in your mind, it kind of sours your outlook on the potential of the season. But it just seems like, if the Lions are really going to turn this thing around and get it going, they need to start something here sooner rather than later. And they do have a good chance, I guess. You got the Giants, the Raiders, and the Bears, 3 teams that aren't necessarily destined for the playoffs themselves. If you want to start that turnaround, I guess these are the weeks you need to do so. But we'll have to see how things play out and how they can close out October and start out November. It's going to be real important for the Lions and any potential playoff hopes they have. That'll do it for today's show. If you did enjoy the show, please do help the channel grow. Dropping that like on the video and hitting that subscribe button are the 2 best ways to do so. We're making progress towards our goal of reaching 100 subscribers for the custom YouTube channel URL for the YouTube channel. But still more help needed there. So if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Also, if you're in a very charitable, supporting, generous move, I'm also through work got introduced to the Extra Life fundraiser here. It is a fundraiser that supports the Children's Miracle Network. Specifically, I will be supporting the Beaumont Children's Hospital. So if you're interested, I did place a link down to my fundraising page in the description of this video. You can see there the game day, November 2nd. I'll actually be on Friday, November 1st, partaking in a 24-hour gaming marathon. And so the idea is I play games, I help raise money to support the Children's Miracle Network. So if you're interested in supporting this great organization and this great cause, please do click on that link down below, and you'll find more information about it and myself there. But just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We should be back later on this week with some more of our usual programming. Until the next video, I'm Kevin Marheine, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.